about one of your instances that you've done a large deal. Like, what was the dollar amount to that deal? If you could share that with us, and like, what was the experience through that process?
I would say it wasn't a single. I think one of my best solo years, about 2022, I got like $1.8 million solo for like 10 different projects, and it ranged between the Omega Lamplighters, which is a youth program. Appreciate that. It was the Omega Lamplighters, which is a youth program under Omega Psi Phi fraternity. We got our first allocation there. I have one allocation for a suicide prevention program, another one for a scholarship for low-income college students, another one for elderly for youth students to essentially teach old people to stop being scammed online so they can understand. Because during the pandemic, everybody was scamming the old folks, right? So they ended up being a different mix there. Also, some money for people that were coming out of prison so that they could transition back into life well, so at least the workforce development part was there. So to me, it was more getting out of the narrative of DeSantis and the nonsense.
No, you right, son, my bad. Give him 90 yards. I told you I had it. What told his mama told me he needed a scholarship. He needed a change in his life. And I'm going to give it to him in Eugene, baby. I'm going to give it to him in Eugene right now.
Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, the Hip Hop Lobbyist. I know it's been like a week and some change since I've been on the channel. My apologies for taking a long time to get back. I've just been honestly dealing with internet issues. Like AT&T, I'm paying for fiber and they've been fucking me up for real. They're not sponsoring the channel yet, so AT&T, whenever y'all ready, y'all can drop that sponsorship ad on the channel for what it is, but y'all need to send a tech out to fix my internet. No lie. But today, we'll be watching President Trump's press conference. Actually, I have a call coming up at 11:30. I probably should have waited, but Trump gonna be live in a minute. President Trump having a press conference today. First one since the big beautiful bill is passed, and honestly, it's 890 pages. I've read through some of it. I've been trying to pull out a little bits of the bill that, the audience, the community that we're building out here on YouTube, TikTok, and all these other streaming platforms, that they would enjoy. All right, am I muted? Oh, make sure my mic's not muted. Cool. So that's been the biggest thing to me is like, okay, cool. Let me get to a point of going through the bill. Everybody's kind of going through it. Medicare cuts, Medicaid cuts, Medicare cuts, Medicaid cuts. But yeah, that's cool. But everybody's not old. Everybody's not low income poor. There are people in the middle, even middle class Americans who will be impacted by it. But then also, as I started thinking, I'm like, you know what? Damn, no tax on tips. I wonder what this would mean for other live streamers and content creators and things of that nature. To say, you know what? Hey, what is the impact of the big beautiful bill on me? Right. So in today's stream, we're going to get into a little bit of that. I'm going to actually wait to see where President Trump is with this cabinet meeting. Give me 1 second. I got to switch over. I got so many windows open. But I'm going to set my social stream ninja up to get the chat in, all the other good stuff. Everybody who's here. I haven't checked the chat yet, but I appreciate everybody who's tapped in so far on the stream. Everybody who's helped build this community out so far. It's been great the past few weeks, past few months. Really getting to a point of engaging people. I think I'm having some issues with my vertical for what it is, but that's all right. Elizabeth, hey, how you doing? Just trying to get some technical stuff in together. And I'm gonna switch over to Trump in a second. I don't think he started, but we'll get there. And as you know, I'm a professional lobbyist. If it's your first time here, I'm a professional lobbyist in the state of Florida. I'm known as a hip hop lobbyist. I have connections all over. I'm one call away from the White House, one call away from Beyonce. But professionally, I am a lobbyist. I worked in the political process for 15 years. I started this YouTube channel about October last year, really posting more around the debates and things of that nature. And what I realized was a lot of people were just uneducated about the entire political process for what it is, right? And I said, you know what, let me take my 15 years of experience, my experience electing members of Congress, electing members of state legislatures, putting constitutional amendments on the ballot, getting government funding for nonprofits and organizations and all different things of that nature, and say, hey, you know what, hey, let me take my skills and start educating a community. And we built out a strong, solid community over the past couple months, from 300 subs up to right under 4,000. So if it's your first time here and you haven't subscribed yet, I think we have over 78,000 people on Chat Analytics that are coming back to the channel. Cool. I maybe have 96% of y'all not subscribed. Well, guess what? If you come back and you haven't subscribed yet, but you're like, you know what, Phil, I kind of vibe the channel, the roughness, you need a haircut, the conversation's cool, I'm gonna go ahead and subscribe and join the channel. Go ahead and subscribe. Help your boy get over 4,000 subs as we get there. But we're waiting on President Trump. We're gonna flip over there. I'm trying to get all my chats in. I got the TikTok brought in. I may do Twitch and Rumble today, but that's okay. Either way, let me know how y'all are doing in the chat. I hope everybody's had a great 4th. For the most part, the chat should be set up, so y'all should be popping up on the screen real soon. Woo! Hopefully, put the bell in so when I hear it. Anyway, I'm also streaming on cameras as well, so if you're on YouTube, you're like, you know what, I don't want to watch this on my phone. I want to put it on my desktop, put it on the TV. I'm actually streaming cameras as well, so if you go to the Hip Hop Lobbyist channel, you can see I have 2 streams up. Just check the other one, but let me switch over. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, I got technical difficulties there. Wait, hold on. Where's Big Trump at? Switch this over. Oh, there we go. We're still waiting on the White House. So basically, Trump has not started speaking yet. We're looking at the AP feature yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and start. Hey, Alan, hope you're doing good. Now, I miss y'all, to be honest. I miss y'all to be real. And I told myself, you know what, if I'm building out this community, the biggest and best thing I have to do is honestly be consistent with y'all. And I'm gonna try the rest of this week to stream. Let's try to lock in 11 a.m. the rest of this week. I'm not locking in no other thing on this time. I have an 11:30 call, like I said. That should be pretty quick. But what I'm gonna do from here is actually start off with my good old girl, Jasmine Crockett. All right, I know y'all love Jasmine. That'll get people blood boiling until we get to. Let me find another window. Not as organized as I wanted to be today. I get it. Y'all still love me though, hopefully. Actually, no. I haven't had a chance to really get into the Texas flooding. I want to be respectful to that, the great tragedy that happened in Texas. So I'm going to switch over to that piece. I'd like to call him Lieutenant. To get update there while we wait on President Trump.
Allow search and rescue teams to operate without any interference. This is a tragic time for us. We're so grateful and thankful for all the resources that have been provided to us to do this job. And I can assure you we will not stop until this mission is complete. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to City Mayor.
It's very unfortunate what happened in Texas, for real. Very, very unfortunate.
I'm Joe Herring Jr. I'm Mayor of the City of Kerrville. I want to reassure our community and those families that the city, the county, the state, and the federal experts are working together, not separately, but as one team. If you go inside the Emergency Operations Center, you don't see silos. You see one team.
Hold on, yo, for my...
The outpouring of generosity has been tremendous, and we are grateful. We are working on a new system to accept donations, and when those plans are complete, we will post them online on the city's Facebook page. We are grateful. We need a new system to handle the generosity of the world. Financial donations can still go to communityfoundation.net. That's the community foundation of the Texas Hill Country. Again, we are grateful for the generosity of the world. Over and over, I've asked you to pray. It occurred to me that I haven't asked you for what to pray specifically. Please pray for those who mourn, for those who wait, and for those who help. Now I'd like to call on Lieutenant Colonel Ben Baker.
Morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Ben Baker, Lieutenant Colonel for Texas Game Wardens. I'd like to start out by thanking the Mayor, Sheriff, Chief, our local state partners, Texas Department of Public Safety, and the many others that have responded to this tragic event. We as Texas are strong, and together we face adversity. Your Texas Game Wardens responded in the early mornings of Friday to this tragic event, along with many other local and state partners. Since the early mornings of Friday, your Texas Gamers have had over 300 game wardens in the area, serving the people of the state of Texas and the citizens of Kirk County. Among that, we've searched 26 river miles since the tragic event has started. We've had approximately 444 rescues, 30 recoveries. Some of our resources and assets we have dedicated to this tragic event include 2 helicopters with hoist teams, 12 drone teams, 10 K-9 units, 9 swiftwater boat crews, 15 airboats, 16 UTVs, and 169 four-wheel drive vehicles. Your Texas Game Wardens will remain here and serving the community. We just ask you to continue to pray for the victims, for the families, for your first responders, for everyone involved. We'll open it up now to questions, if anybody has any.
Can you talk about how challenging it is for you guys in the mud, the big trees? What's been like the different terrain?
No, thank you for that question. Extremely challenging. You know, we've got, of course, your Texas Game Wardens out there, your local, your state partners, Texas Task Force 1. We've got the National Forest Service out there. We've got A&M Forest Service. We've got numerous responders with specialized capabilities where we've got these large pile of debris. And with our K-9s and you know, when we're trying to make these recoveries, these large piles can be very obstructive. And to get deep into these piles, it's very hazardous. And those specialized teams have to go in there layer by layer because our first responders, also the safety of them is concerned. So it's extremely treacherous, time-consuming, it's dirty work, the water's still there. So we're having to go layer by layer, peeling these off to make those recoveries. So we're...
What about mentally? Like when you guys stumble across someone who may be deceased, how do you process that?
Absolutely. We process it the best we can. We have professionals in place, our crisis intervention team. All the agencies have some members representing there, and officer wellness is a first responder wellness is a key component to these operations. So we're maintaining and monitoring our officer wellness, our first responder wellness. We're making sure they have the support. It's very tragic whenever you see human life. But to see a child in that loss of life is extremely tragic.
More rain
I
is
have a
expected
question.
to come down west of us, and eventually it's going to get down to Guadalupe River. Is that going to put a halt to the searches? And if not, how are you going to change the trajectory of the search and rescue operations?
So with the water coming down, that is always a concern, and I'm sure you've been monitoring the last couple of days where we've had some reports of maybe some additional water coming in. Obviously, that's going to impact the search and recovery efforts. You know, us with numerous other agencies do have air capabilities, drone capabilities. We've got numerous fixed wing, rotary helicopters here. So it will alter our patrol patterns and alter our searches, but it won't deter them.
I have a
Can you
question
outline
for the
what
for
specific discussions and actions were taken between
came in at 1:14 a.m. And then when the river first started flooding homes hours later, what were the specific actions and discussions that happened in those hours?
Can you repeat that again, please?
Sure, absolutely. I would like to know if you could outline, please, what the specific actions and discussions were that local officials took between 1:14 a.m., that's when the first flood emergency alert came out, and hours later when the river first started flooding homes. What happened in those hours?
What I can tell you, when I was first notified, it was around the 4 to 5 area. One of my sergeants was in dispatch when the first calls started coming in, the actual 911 calls come in.
Like at 4 in the morning?
It was between 4 and 5 when I got notified. Okay, but prior to that, in that 3 to 4 area, my understanding is, and we're in the process of trying to put a timeline. You know, that's going to take a little bit of time. As I've told you several times, that is not my priority this time. There's 3 priorities. That's locating the people out there, identifying and notifying the next of kin. That is what I'm taking as my job as sheriff here to do. Okay.
With all due respect, sir, I think that the community here is asking these questions. What happened? When did it happen? Was the emergency manager awake at the time? Did they push the button to issue an emergency alert?
Sir, it's not that easy when you just push a button, okay? There's a lot more to that. And we've told you several times.
So did it happen, sir?
I can't tell you at this time. Okay.
You can't tell me if the emergency manager of the county actually issued an emergency alert.
Okay. Sheriff, who is
Just give me a second.
Emergency Operations Center? Who runs
me answer the question.
the Emergency Operations
I'll come back to you.
Center?
I'm going nowhere.
Appreciate it.
Who runs the Emergency Operations Center?
We have a communication center, a dispatch, okay? We have a communication center. That's where the calls actually go to the police department, then they're forwarded to
Right,
us.
but leading up to this, in monitoring the weather, there's, in any large city, who was getting those briefings in this city, in this county? Who was receiving that information? And who would have ultimately made the decision to evacuate, hearing what was coming in from the Weather Service and other people?
Okay, what we would have done when we get notified, okay, I'm going to tell you.
You're not emergency management, though, right? The sheriff's not EOC.
No, there is
Who
no,
is
I meant
EOC?
as the city. Yeah.
So we understand you have many questions.
Right.
Hang on.
No, I understand, but you're not gonna answer the question because that's up to the city manager and the mayor to answer those
Correct.
questions.
We understand
That's
you
the
have
judge.
many
Where is
questions.
the judge? The judge is not here.
We understand that, but right now, this team up here is focused on
We
bringing people
understand that
home.
too, but there are a number
That's
of
our focus.
questions that are
All those
leading up to
questions
this.
will be answered, but the
No,
priority right now
It seems like you're
is
ducking
bringing
the-
people home.
We totally understand that, and we value the incredible work that is being done by those first responders. We're seeing them out there muddy and sweaty and grinding it out day after day. But your community is asking these questions.
And we will get answers.
Manager in the county
Right now, all of our resources are focused
You should be able to
to
answer
recovery.
Who was in charge of the Emergency Operations Center at the time that was getting any briefings?
Do we have another question?
If any
I
briefings.
do. I think I'd like to focus on what local people can be looking for. We're looking at some erosion in roads and safety in them traveling. What can we tell people who live here right now and what they can do in their daily life? Should they worry about traveling on roads? Do we know anything about that infrastructure?
Sure, absolutely. Jonathan Lamb, Kerrville Police Department. So we know that there's substantial road damage. Some roads have been closed for safety. We've got crews out there in the county shoring them up and making sure that people can travel to and from. What we're asking for the public to do to assist us is if they believe that they have seen someone, a victim, notify emergency services. Call 911, let us know, or use our non-emergency numbers, area code 830-257-8181. Contact our dispatch team and we will send officers out there. We also ask folks to limit their travel. Our first responders have had a very difficult time getting to where they need to go because of the amount of people who are flooding our roadways. We understand there's natural curiosity. People want to come here and see the flood damage. Now is not the time for sightseeing. This operation is ongoing and continuous, and it will continue. I've got time for one more question.
Can you tell us when your last live rescue was?
Last question. As far as I know, the last live rescue, unless there's new information, and I don't believe there is, was made on Friday. All right, I'm afraid that's going to have to do it for this morning.
Can someone answer if the bodies have been released to the families, Sheriff?
Excuse me.
Have the bodies been released to the families?
Some. I mean, they're at autopsy.
How many are still missing? Do we have an estimate among the general population, not just the girls from Mystic, even just credible reports, is it hundreds still? Is there any estimate among the general population of how many people?
No, I've told y'all several times, it's hard to know that number. No, we don't. I know the numbers that we have found, and that's all I know.
You still don't want to tell us who is
All right, so we're going to continue our operations. The next time that we're going to be in front of y'all will be at 5 p.m. right back here. If there is a critical update, again, we'll provide that information to you through the contact list that you have provided to us.
This morning, search and rescue teams continue to search. This morning, search and rescue teams continue to search the banks of the Guadalupe River, hoping to find flood survivors. Right now, 84 people are now confirmed dead in Kerr County. That breaks down to 56 adults and 28 children. Among those who have died, 22 adults and 10 children have not been identified. 10 campers from Camp Mystic and 1 counselor are also still unaccounted for. The total number of people killed across Texas from this storm stands at 104. First responders have been working in the town of Ingram, located between Kerrville and Hunt along the Guadalupe River, to help with rescue, recovery, and cleanup. News 4 San Antonio's Jordan Elder has been in the area the last few days and joins us this morning with the very latest developments. Good morning, Jordan.
Marisa, good morning. You can see there's still some search equipment here right now, but in the next few hours, there's going to be a lot more. At about 7 a.m. yesterday, we saw hundreds of volunteer firefighters, other first responders, and search personnel descend on Blue Oak RV Park. It's become a hub for first responders to meet and then head out on the river and do their work. And they are meticulous. So I want to show you what they're combing through. There's this big mangle of trees back here, and this is an example of what they would need to dig through. There is metal twisted in there, tires, pieces of cars and RVs, and searchers have told me they have to go through it very, very carefully because you don't want to miss anything. So that's what they've been doing. And then when they're finished, they put everything in a pile. For the piles of trees, they'll put a pole in there with some caution tape around it to show everyone this has been searched. And then as soon as they finish searching the vehicles, they take an orange X and put it on a window to say, okay, we're done with this one. However, searchers have been running into some serious challenges. For example, the city of Kerrville says a civilian's drone crashed into a rescue helicopter on Monday, and that caused an emergency landing. So that's a piece of equipment that now can't be used, and the search mission is still extremely active. Lines of cars on the highway are also slowing down first responders as they try to get further upriver, and that's complicating a search effort that was already difficult.
All this destruction, it's piled on top of each other, and then there's still 5 feet of muck, so you're searching through everything. It's going to take a few weeks.
The good news is there is a lot of help out here. Federal, state, local, other volunteers. This is a look at just a few of the resources we've seen clearing debris, untangling the piles of metal and trees, and we're expecting to see more of this in the next few weeks. These search crews and local leaders have said they will not stop until everyone is accounted for. And again, like you were saying, Marisa, we still don't have a full picture of how many people are truly missing. So this could take a while. We'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Jordan. Thank you for that. We are expecting another update from Kerr County today at 10 a.m. And then this afternoon, the governor will be holding a press conference at 5 p.m. We, of course, will be covering both of these live for you on air and online. So make sure you stay with us for the very latest information on search and rescue operations. Time now is 6:08 this morning. We have continuing coverage of the latest on the search effort. News 4 San Antonio's Tawny Davis is live in Kerrville along the Guadalupe River. Tawny, what are you seeing where you're at this morning?
Well, good morning. I know it is a little dark right now, but we're still seeing a little bit of water down in the Guadalupe River. And once the sun comes up, we will show you even more about how the trees are still down and how much forceful that water was once that water definitely hit this area. Now, we're on day 4 of the search for the victims of the deadly hill country floods. Over in Ingram, volunteers are working just as hard as they did on day 1, saying that they felt that they need to help where they can. Now, volunteers are still out searching and clearing debris and comforting grieving families. Among those lending a hand are lawmakers, military veterans, and everyday people who say they simply couldn't sit this one out. Texas Representative Josie Garcia has been one of the ones rolling up her sleeves to help in the search effort. She and other volunteers have been working tirelessly to clear the way for search crews.
I can't even begin to put myself in the shoes of the families that have been impacted by this devastation. But what I do know as a mom is that there are moms missing their babies, and we're here fighting for them.
Other volunteers like Henry say it's about showing up for your community.
I think that's humanity at its best. These people here, they came together because the calling of our state representative, a great leader. So we come here and we just give it our best.
Even throughout all of this heartbreak, the community here in Kerr County and beyond are just showing how resilient they are. There is another presser this morning at 10 a.m. where we will get another update from Kerr County officials, and we will be there. And once we get those updates, we will update you on air and online. For now, reporting live, I'm Tawny Davis. Back to you.
As we head into break, the Salvation Army says anyone wanting to help needs to sign up on their website. Or you can call 830-465-4797 to register. You can also go to the Salvation Army location at 855 Hayes Street to sign up. They say the most impactful way to help is through cash donations. Walmart and Sam's Club are matching cash donations made to the Salvation Army Texas flood relief. They say they'll match all donations up to $250,000 made until July 20th. To donate, you can visit their website, www.disaster.salvationarmyusa.org. This morning, we're still getting the names of people who passed or are still missing. As part of special team coverage, let's get over to Fox SA's Andrew Capasso. Andrew, we're learning that the body of a young girl from Camp Mystic has been found. What can you tell us?
All right, so good morning to you. Her name is Mary Grace Baker. She was only in 3rd grade. Her family sharing a message online. I want you to take a look at your screen here. They say, "We have felt all of your prayers and support over the past couple days. Please continue to lift us up as we do not see how we can possibly carry on without her." Family also saying now they will share information about rosary and funeral plans as those are made. This morning, we know 9-year-old Janie Hunt from Dallas has died. That's according to her mom. She was one of the girls who died in all that flooding at Camp Mystic. Also, Eloise Peck and Lisa Bonner of Dallas killed in the flood. These two known to be best friends. In a statement, Eloise's family calling her an angel. And there is new reaction to the death of Camp Mystic's owner and director, Dick Eastland. In an editorial by a former camper, she says Mr. Eastland put camper safety above all else. She says his last sacrifice was working to save the lives of campers. Meanwhile, Jane Ragsdale, the executive director of a camp called Heart of the Hills, is also dead. She was a counselor at the camp in the 1970s, became director in 1988. One of our viewers who knows her says she was one of the most amazing women she ever met.
She was the epitome of kindness and joy. If you look at any pictures of her, you can see that in her. She's just such a bright light. She's an inspiration to us all.
We're told camp was not in session when that heavy rain rolled in. They say everyone who was on site has been accounted for. And one dad, this man here, working to save his family, is dead. This is Julian Ryan, the former football star at Ingram Moore High School, punched out a window to save his fiancée, their kids, and his mom from the rising waters. Everyone able to get out safely except for Julian. He died after severing an artery, punching out that glass. His last words to his family, "I'm sorry, I love you." His family says he died a hero. And UTSA mourning the loss of a professor, Dr. Catherine Eads. Her family says she was an incredible wife, daughter, mother, grandmother, and person who spent her life helping kids. It's believed Catherine and her husband were spending the holiday weekend together along that river. The family says her husband was rescued this morning. UTSA says they believe 2 students remain missing. We're going to keep watching for updates for that. Just a terrible tragedy here. Maritza, back to you.
Thank you, Andrew. Trinity University offensive coordinator Wade Lytle continues to ask for your prayers. His daughter, Kelly Ann, is among the missing. Coach Lytle shared this video on social media showing Kelly Ann singing in a Christmas pageant, noting how fearless she is. Meanwhile, Richard Paggard and his wife Carol Andrews are still missing after that deadly flood in Kerr County. Richard's daughter says her father, stepmother, and their dog Poppy were camping by the Guadalupe River while searching for a new home. And the family hadn't heard from them since the flash flooding on Friday. A man at the campground found the couple's truck and camper in a mangled condition. The daughter plans to search the nearby animal shelters for the couple's dog, hoping that if she finds the dog, she can find her dad and his wife. And Jeff Wilson, a teacher from Humble, his wife Amber and son Shiloh remain missing. The family was in hunt for a youth rodeo competition. Family members believe the Wilsons were staying at the HTV RV park. The school district Jeff worked for confirmed his death on social media, saying he was a beloved teacher and co-worker to many and will be deeply missed. We know a lot of you are heartbroken by the devastation out in the Hill Country. Lots of people have been reaching out to us to see how they can help. Here's how you can get involved. Any physical donations like food and hygiene products should be given to the Salvation Army's Kerrville branch. Anyone who would like to volunteer can do so with the nonprofit. You must pre-register by calling them or visiting their facility in person. Salvation Army officials say this is such a massive relief operation. They need to keep things organized. And if you are missing someone during this emergency, you can call the Red Cross at 800-733-2767. Again, 800-733-2767. This morning, search and rescue teams continue to search the banks of the Guadalupe River, hoping to find flood survivors. Right now, 84 people are now confirmed dead in Kerr County. That breaks down to 56 adults and 28 children. Among those who have died, 22 adults and 10 children have not been identified. 10 campers from Camp Mystic and 1 counselor are also still unaccounted for. The total number of people killed across Texas from this storm stands at 104. Here in San Antonio, people came together last night to support flood victims in the Hill Country, while also honoring the lives lost in last month's Vital Creek flooding. As part of our special team coverage, let's go over to Fox SA's Andrew Capasso. Andrew, what can you tell us about this event?
Well, Marisa, good morning once again to you. That vigil in Travis Park, Central San Antonio, putting it together. One mom telling us she sees her own child in every flood victim. She says as a mom, her heart aches for what those families are going through.
I have one son and I just couldn't take it if I lose him.
Like that.
And the way they're so innocent and sweet. They went to have fun and then they just didn't make it back to their parents. That's why we gotta love each other and care for each other now. There's so much hate and resentment toward each other. And it's sad that it takes something like this to bring people together.
Trish DeBerry is president of Central San Antonio. She says the grief here runs deep because San Antonio knows the pain families in Kerr County are feeling, but just what happened here just last month.
Just recovering from that, and now we look at what's happened in the Hill Country, and many people don't understand the tie that San Antonio has to our neighbors to the north. Many familial connections, and so the grief is compounded by what we felt here 3 weeks ago.
Central San Antonio also collecting essential items for those victims. And this morning, you may start to see some of these green ribbons. These are up now in Alamo Heights. People across Texas putting these on trees in solidarity with the Hill Country flooding victims.
Thank you, Anne. Just how unified they were in focusing on the fact that we're there to save lives. They were there to rescue people, find people who were still alive, and to reunify them with their family members. We as a federal government don't manage these disasters. The state does. We come in and support them, and that's
Hip hop lobbyists. In today's video, we'll be watching President Trump's cabinet meeting. Now, this is the first cabinet meeting since the One Big Beautiful Bill. And if it's your first time here on the channel, please make sure you like and subscribe more than anything. For everyone here who came to see President Trump, y'all didn't really come to hear me speak. It's okay though. Let's get into this video with President Trump, this live cabinet meeting. I had to pause it so we can catch up on the times. So we may be a little bit delayed, but guess what? We're still on time. Let me get to the right window here. And is this the right one? I don't think so. Hold on. There we go.
because of what she's gone through this last few days. Done
I don't know why it's so low.
As you know, Christy, I'm going to ask you to say a few words about Texas. The first person there was the first person I saw on television was you, actually. And you've worked great with the governor, who's terrific. And you might want to tell a little bit about the trials and tribulations, but we appreciate the job that you and everybody have done. You had people there as fast as anybody's ever seen, so really appreciate it. We all do, and maybe you could say a few words.
Sure. Well, thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank you for your leadership. Texas is strong, and the people of Texas are incredibly strong. They've gone through something that is absolutely horrific, and it is
Can y'all hear it well?
to watch these families suffer the way that they are. As soon as
No sound. Hold on, it's just low. Hold on.
happened, you know, the governor has
Let me pause this one. Hold on, because it can't be on me. I hear it live on my side. Let me try to get this together, y'all, because I don't understand why Trump is basically, why they so low. I'm going to go to the White House stream. How about that? Go straight to the White House. There's no point to have...
And that you had said whatever they need, Christy, let's deploy it and get it down there and be...
Let's go back a little bit, because, you know, we don't want to just be mid-sentence in this bit.
Created us, the old FEMA streamline. We
You
You hear that better?
You okay? You have some room over here.
There we go. Let's start it from here.
Leave the cameras there.
Only a couple minutes behind.
But if you want, there's a lot of room over here. See an edge to move out to the end if you way out to the left.
Hey, Lisa. You're gonna hear some of the same stuff over again, but that's okay. I'd rather have it loud than have everybody struggling to hear what the president's saying in the first place. You feel me? Thank y'all for tapping in.
Thank you very much. We've had a tremendous 6 months, and we've had a tremendous 2 weeks, which now is, I guess, 3 weeks. And we have a tremendous group of people here that have done a great, unified, beautiful job. I want in particular, because of what she's gone through this last few days, done an incredible job. As you know, Christy, I'm going to ask you to say a few words about Texas. The first person there was the first person I saw on television was you, actually. And you've worked great with the governor, who's terrific. And you might want to tell a little bit about the trials and tribulations, but we appreciate the job that you and everybody have done. You had people there as fast as anybody's ever seen. So I really appreciate it. We all do, and maybe you could say a few words.
Sure. Well, thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank you for your leadership. Texas is strong, and the people of Texas are incredibly strong. They've gone through something that is absolutely horrific, and it is heartbreaking to watch these families suffer the way that they are. As soon as this flash flooding event happened, you know, the governor has activated his emergency responders. Nim Kidd is his emergency management director, who is incredible, and has immediately worked with the local first responders to get help to individuals and get them evacuated, put requests in to me. We deployed, sir, right away, as you know, because you and I were talking a lot during this time, the Coast Guard. We also had some assets out of Customs and Border Protection. Our board TAC teams went in and helped with rescues and clearing debris so that we could get roads open and people get the help that they need. I think when I got there the most, sir, that day, as soon as I arrived on site, was getting a briefing from all the emergency responders, was just how unified they were in focusing on the fact that we're there to save lives.
Thank you, everybody tapping in for the stream today.
Find people who were still alive and to reunify them with their family members. We as a federal government don't manage these disasters. The state does. We come in and support them, and that's exactly what we did here in this situation. FEMA went to an enhanced level immediately, but as soon as you signed the major disaster declaration, we were able to get them resources and dollars right away, just like you grant, help them with cleanup. And we're still there in presence, and FEMA's been deployed, and we're cutting through the paperwork of the old FEMA, streamlining it much like your vision
The old FEMA.
of how FEMA should operate, and it's been a much better response to help these families get through this terrible situation. We still are looking for people. We're still looking for a lot of little girls and other family members that were camping along that river, and they will continue until they find every single person, and we will continue to help them and assist in that. I was surprised when I got there at the camp that day, right after this happened, the parents that were there, the parents that were looking for their children and picking up
Sad.
daughter's stuffed animals out of the mud and finding their daughter's shoe that might be laying in the cabin. And
That's so sad.
just hugging and comforting people matters a lot. I'm extremely grateful for God's hand in that whole situation, because hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people were saved. And this is a time for all of us in this country to remember that we were created to serve.
Family. I wouldn't want to wish. It's tragic, and I hate to see it. They don't need to blame Trump. They don't need to blame Democrats. They don't need to blame anything. They're mad at the world, mad at God right now. They're mad at whatever it may be. And I'll just say more prayers than anything. So I'll quickly stop it there. I'm gonna get back to it, but I think that's one thing that we really got to get into. It's like, let's be human, at least to a point of understanding of the 96 something people that passed away so far, the 20 something kids at this camp. Very unfortunate. But let's at least have a human part of some reverence for life to be like, you know what? Let's at least pray for this family more than anything. I think that's kind of lost in the mix of people wanting to point blame, which I get, but that's not it, not at this stage.
God created us to take care of each other, and that when we do that, we are happier, we are more fulfilled, and we can walk alongside people on their worst day and help them get through it and come out the other side, knowing that we can continue to live a life that God has purposed for us. So they're grateful for you. Several times the day after the flooding, you and Melania were on the phone with me, and I want to thank you for that. That meant the world. I was able to tell many of those folks that I had been visiting with you, and that you had said, whatever they need, Christy, let's deploy it and get it down there and be helpful. And on Sunday, when the families were waiting at a church to identify their children's bodies, Franklin Graham and I called in and prayed with the families and read some scripture with them, and he was incredible in making himself available to that as well. We'll be back down there in a couple of days and continue to do all we can, but this is an unprecedented event. It really is. There's been tragedies like this around the country, but everyone is unique in different situations, and the response the federal government had supporting the state through this, I'm proud of the people that stepped up and immediately came. The Coast Guard, when they came in, they had a difficult time even getting the aircraft in and landed. They had to try several times in the weather to get it in and deploy. And I think we've heard about, our one Coast Guard member that was responsible for saving over 165 people, but that entire crew did incredible work. And all the first responders there did incredible work. And I know people are getting tired now, but they're getting reinforcements and volunteers are showing up. And I just want to commend the governor and his team for being the leaders. And they're so thankful that you're letting them make the decisions and manage the response like it should be. And then us supporting them with the resources of the federal government. We've already deployed dollars to the state, much like the block grants that you've talked about. Right. So they're grateful for that, sir.
There's never been a wave like
I'll go live on Twitch as well, y'all.
Because this was almost a wave that ended up being 30 feet high, more actually. Now with the dam you can understand it, but this approached almost with that speed. When you see a dam break, it's not a pretty sight. It wipes out everything, and this is the kind of thing that built up so fast. And it's happened 2 or 3 times before over the years, but not to this extent. But tell them when you met the father.
We had some technical difficulties with the stream I had in earlier, but yeah, this is live.
A gentleman was standing there, and he said, that man over there needs a hug. And so I walked over to him, and I hugged him, and I said, do you work here? And he said, no, my little girl was in that cabin.
Wow.
And he said, and I just found her best friend about an hour and a half ago. She had passed away. And he just fell apart. And so then we just hugged and talked for probably an hour about that. But then there was another, the grandpa was there looking for his granddaughter as well. There was a dad there of one of the counselors. The counselor was alive, but she was dealing with the fact that she had hung on to some of these girls and was trying to keep them out of the floodwaters and had gotten hit by something and had lost 2 of the girls and wasn't able to hang on to them and was going to live the rest of her life thinking about that moment when she wasn't able to hang on to these girls. But these parents were picking up their kids' belongings out of the mud and throughout the camp and putting them in bags. And then one of the dads said, I knew 50 of these girls here. So I knew that was her dress and my daughter's friend's dress. So he was picking it up and putting it in a bag to return to her parents. And so it was and then the director was there comforting everybody who had lost his father the night before too. And he was still there trying to facilitate all of these parents grieving their children and find them. So the strength of people is incredible. One of the things that I asked there that day was that they all have escorts or counselors when parents come in. So from that point, that when they came into the camp, that they have somebody with them when they're going and looking for their children's belongings or looking for their children. And so very emotional, but also just so tragic.
The relationship with Texas and the governor and us, with our first responders and lots of other people, and we brought in a lot of helicopters from all over. And we had a lot of helicopters. It was actually dangerous, a lot of helicopters up there. But they were real pros, and they were responsible for pulling out a lot of people. And we got them there fast, and Texas had some good ones too. But the response has been incredible.
We're going live on Rumble here in a second too, y'all.
So well, I don't know. I don't even think that's a political thing. But we got along so well, and it was so unified. I think a lot of lives have been saved. That could have been as bad as it was, and you could have lost double or triple. This thing was just really horrible. Well, congratulations on a great job, and appreciate it. I know you're going down. I'll be going down on Friday with First Lady. We'll be taking a trip, and we don't want to get in anyone's way because that's what happens. The president goes and everyone's around focused on. I don't want anyone to focus on us, but it's possible they could have somebody saved still. There's a lot of areas. It's a big area, and probably unlikely at this point, but there could be. I mean, they're thinking there could be a possibility, but what a tragic situation. Good job, and we'll see you on Friday, and we'll finish out the day here. I think you've been reading a lot about, it's a terrible topic when you talk about financial after this, but we have a big country and we've been doing very well. The tariffs, as you know, are starting to come
Here we go.
levels. Tremendous amounts of money are coming in.
No problem.
We never did that.
Oh, Madrid.
We only
Chugally.
tariffs going out. We only adhered to the rules of other nations who charged us tremendous tariffs because we were led by stupid people or people without any business sense. And I'd like to ask Scott, you could maybe talk a little bit about how well we're doing with regard to the money coming in. And the big money will start coming in on August 1st. I think it was made clear today by the letters that were sent out yesterday and today.
Wait a minute.
Yes, sir. We will have taken in about $100 billion in tariff income thus far this year, and that's with the tariffs, the major tariffs not having started till the second quarter. So we could expect that could be well over $300 billion by the end of the year.
Wow.
We don't agree with CBO scoring, but for those who do, the CBO scored tariff income over the next 10 years at $2.8 trillion, which we think is probably low. And, sir, under your leadership, we're witnessing.
And they gave us no credit during this last little, the great, big, beautiful bill. I always use the word great. I add that to it because it really is what it is. It's never been anything like it, actually. And I want to thank all the Republicans that voted for it, and I want to, scold the Democrats because.
Wait a minute now.
They're voting for no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, and many, many other things far more important than that.
Wait a minute. What about the Republicans that voted against it? Because remember, Rand Paul was one of the senators in the whole voting process that said, you know what, I'm not supporting this because of debt. Because we're raising the debt for America to make this happen. So it wasn't just the Democrats. There were some Republicans like Rand Paul that voted against it too because it was 50-50, and JD Vance, the vice president, had to come and do what Kamala Harris wanted to do, or had to do, vote, right? Cool. So he had to make the decision to split the vote, would send it back to the House, because on 50-50 it dies. If they had one more Republican voting for it, it dies. This entire thing blows up in their face, but they end up coming down to the House, and they had 2 Republicans in the House vote against it. So my thing is, are they safe? Are the Republicans that voted against the one big beautiful bill safe? And that's the first question I'm asking the chat today. Are they safe? Do you think they are? Because Democrats right now need to find out a way to win over those 6 House seats, to take control. And also in the Senate, they realize that, okay, cool, there are 1 or 2 senators we need to take out too to have at least a voting chance of stopping this. But it's not there. But the Republicans that are out there that voted against this bill, should they be on the chopping block? Because I know that Elon's going to come after him. We're going to talk about Elon next, because Elon versus Trump is better to me than Jim Jones versus Nas. It's better to me than DDG versus the other young dude he's rapping with, Lil Johnny nephew, Lil Roddy's son, whatever it is, right? It's better than that. Because a part of it is, even for what he was talking about with no tax on tips, no overtime, my biggest thing is for the streamers, for the content creators that are out there, Trump on your platform. But when you're making the content, when you're buying the cameras, when you're buying the computers, when you're buying what you need to make the content for YouTube, for Twitch, for TikTok, guess what? As a part of the one big beautiful bill, you can write off a lot of that if you couldn't already. So what if you're getting tips from even the people on my stream right now? If you decide to tip me $1, $2, $5, $10, I'm not asking you to, but if you did, there's no tax on tips. So that means that YouTube shouldn't be able to take a stronger portion of what you tip me, right? Because that would be a tax. Because they don't have to pay. It's a tip, right? But IRS has to make those guidelines. But that's something that people collectively, we need to have a conversation about. Because to me, like I said earlier, and I had a call before we got there, before we got here, all I've heard is Medicaid cuts, Medicare cuts, Medicaid, Medicare cuts, Social Security. I hate to say it, I'm about to be 40. That doesn't relate to me in a lot of stuff. I'm not super poor where I got to go get Medicaid. I'm worried about Medicare for my grandfather. He's 96 years old. But however, even the impact it will have for my mom, who'll be there eventually, right? However, my biggest issue is, what is the impact to everyday Americans that they're not telling you? I'm talking about $60 million for HBCU scholarships. Is that enough for 1890 land grant institutions? Is $60 million enough for those students? Probably not. How do we have a conversation? Also, opportunity zones. Opportunity zones are in this bill. Gentrification is something that we've talked about in rural and urban communities for years, especially black communities, communities of color, right? It's been an issue. So now that we're getting to the big, beautiful bill, we're talking about all these tax on tips and all these things that are actual passed and signed into law. And this is the law of the land until somebody sues and gets it in court and all the other good stuff. What are you going to do to understand what's in this bill for you? That's all I'm saying. You have to understand what's in it, whether you're a single mother, whether you're a family, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a streamer, content creator. You should understand what's in this bill, because guess what? It's already passed. And you didn't care about voting last year. You didn't care about the Kamala Harris piece. You didn't care about the price of eggs. You didn't have anybody on top of the ticket driving you to go vote. Well, guess what? Now's the time, because voting's over. Now it's implementation time and strategy time to take it back if you want to change, if you're impacted by this. Because at the end of the day, even if the Democrats win, I know I'm rambling here, I'm gonna get back to the and we'll have a president who is signing the law. So we got to work within this for a little bit. How do we work within it? Guess what? We got to know what's in the big, beautiful bill. But let me get back to Trump. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, liking the channel, taking time out of your day to tap in with your boy as we discuss this. If it's your first time here, I am a hip hop lobbyist, a professional lobbyist in the state of Florida, sharing my political 2 cents on this channel. So like and subscribe for more. Let me get back to the president though.
Great health care. And frankly, every Democrat should lose their election, because it was purely political to vote. They were told not to vote for it. So think of it. We got.
What about the Republicans that voted against it?
And then with the Senate, we had 50-3 Democrats didn't vote at all. Not
Hey,
one
thanks,
party
Steve.
vote, with all of the good things in there. Economic development money, tremendous border money. Now you're loaded up on the border. And I don't think we're going to need so much of it because we had zero come in last month, so I'm not sure how much of it we want to spend. You may think about that. You may actually think about saving a lot of money because the wall's been largely built and it obviously worked. But you may want to think about that. But so I think it's incredible when I watch the Democrats and they have standard lines like they had Russia, Russia, Russia. They had the laptop from hell. It all came from Russia. You know, they make things up and they go with it and they feed it to you people in many cases. And they said, here's our line. And I hear the new line is death. Oh, it's death. Everyone's going to die. There's nothing to do with death. In fact, we're saving our country. Death is from allowing 25 million people into our country, of which 3 or 4 are stone cold, hard criminals. 11,888 are murderers, many of them committing more than one murder. That's death, and the Democrats did that. Joe Biden did that by allowing the whole world was dumped into our country, from prisons, from gangs, from mental institutions. We have many people walking the streets, walking in areas that we don't know anything about, that came out of insane asylums. They released their insane asylum, the insane asylum population into our country, and it's amazing the job that you and Tom Homan are doing, by the way, on that. But we have to get them out, and we have no choice. We have to get them out, and we are getting them out. And so, Pete, you want to tell them about our great military and how well we did with respect to the bombers and the B-2? We had the pilots here 2 days ago, and they were incredible people. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Truly a historic mission and demonstrated the skill and courage of the United States military.
Are we still on this?
Those B-2 pilots, families that we had a chance to meet, sir, to the fighter pilots.
I hate to say it, I'm over the Iran bomb.
The air defenders who defended the base. What was demonstrated on the world stage was
Look at Pete. Look at Pete.
And it wasn't
Pete,
just
hold on.
and Isfahan and Natanz.
Hold on, I gotta pause, Pete.
In Iran. It was the rest of the world.
Pete, hold on.
That we have
Pete, unloose that button, boy. You gotta talk to him like that sometimes. Unloose that. You look so tight. You look like a tight ass. Tell Pete the heck Seth. All the years you on Fox News, I know you had to have that look. But undo that button when you sit down. You know how I learned that when I watched politicians debate on the floor. They would unbutton to sit down, but they would button up the jacket the second they stood up for the photos because they had the mic. I don't have a mic here, but we're going to use this as a mic. They had the mic and they're preaching on the mic. But this right here, I'm not a fashion expert, but I know that button is holding on. Tighten up, bro. Let's get somebody, the fashion expert, the fashion novas of the world. Like this is kind of hot, red, white, and blue, but guess what? That's a pink tie. So that to me don't even go together, right? That's a pink tie with a red, white, and blue. You have nothing here to me. The white, yeah, cool. Nah, baby, you can go with a red, white, and blue tie if that's the case, if you want to go. But guess what? Big Trump got on gold. Big Trump ain't got no pocket square. Big Trump, big money. Why you got all these patterns on? You sit next to the president, bro. Unbutton your button. That's all I'm saying.
Willing to use these capabilities.
Don't button that button, baby. Look at him. Just tight ass. Look like a tight ass.
Could have done what America did there on that night, and everyone took notice of that. With the one big beautiful bill, sir, we've got 150 billion additional to invest in Golden Dome and all the systems and stockpiles and shipping.
Bill, hold on. Bill just told me you never wore a suit in your life. Ryan, what's going on, Bill? Do I have to go to my Instagram page for you to show you me in the suit at the White House on the White House lawn for Easter with my son? Bill, get out of here with your hate, baby. Make sure you like and subscribe for more.
Of yours, another month, another historic recruiting bump. It's not just the Army and the Marine Corps anymore. It's the Navy, the Air Force, and the Space Force, all historically ahead.
Bill just a hater, bro. It's okay.
Historic spirit inside.
I'm gonna go put on a suit and tie right now. No suits and ties on this stream. Nothing but hoodie. I'm gonna put my hoodie. I'll go get my dicey mask if you really want it. What we talking about?
Trump leading, and we're proud to be a part of what's going on at the border, sir. With now a 4th national defense area where we're helping get to that number 0.
Get a damn shiesty mask on Bill ass. What do you mean? I wear a shiesty mask and a suit.
re-establish deterrence.
Hey, Seb, I don't understand what that means. I gotta translate this, my love.
Debacle of what Biden allowed to happen in Afghanistan, and what that.
Let me go ahead and translate this one.
President Trump said, with Operation Midnight Hammer, we're reestablishing.
Eso de Stack Lutfin.
Our so-called enemies were watching. They watched every minute of it. They watched. There was very few people that weren't watching, actually, but they watched every minute. It was a perfect.
Urgent support, please help.
Performance, the likes of which we haven't seen in a long time. I mean, if you compare that to the same country, the hostages from years ago. Jimmy Carter, it was unfortunate for Jimmy Carter. He was a nice man, but with the helicopters going down, the sandstorms, the prisoners, they get captured, then the
Pain is great.
prisoners and Reagan and all the problems. It was nothing but problems, and that was a failure. And ours was not only the pilots. I mean, those machines flew for 37 straight hours. They didn't stop. They went skedaddle. You know the word skedaddle? It means skedaddle. Like Energy Commission said, it's gone. That place is gone. We had a lot of fake reporting, mostly from CNN, where the scammer a writer for CNN, who should be fired, by the way.
Damn, everybody from CNN should be fired. That's crazy.
Intelligence agents, if you remember that. She did that story, created a story out of it. She created a story out of the laptop from hell, saying it came from Russia.
Need a haircut.
It came from Hunter Biden's bedroom, or worse. Just a scammer, and she's still at CNN, which is pretty amazing. But we'll ask you a question about her. But they came up with this concept that maybe the attack wasn't that good. Maybe, and I saw it happen right after the attack. I saw this person on CNN. I actually watch. I like to watch the enemy. You learn from the enemy. And I watch because you have to know where they're coming from. And I watch you say, Anderson, you know.
Turn some of these bikes down.
Maybe they didn't hit their target. Maybe it wasn't that good a hit. And we're hearing stories. The next day it was a little more, and the next day a little more.
Yeah, that bit fading in the middle, Bill. About to like the Red Sea. Team Williams, what's up, baby?
Except by that time everybody knew it was hit perfectly. The evidence is in the planes. The evidence the pilots are their best evidence. But they actually came out of their plane because they were here the other day, and they said, it was so sad. We did such a good job. We flew into very dangerous airspace. I'll never forget, we were in the Situation Room, and then they said they have entered Iranian airspace, and everyone took a deep breath because they had more missiles pointed at them, but the equipment is so good, it's stealth, way up in the air, and it was stealth, and they went right through that, and they sort of, by the time they found out they were there, they were already gone. That was the word skedaddle, get the hell out of here. But they were right in the most dangerous airspace in the world, and they took those big, beautiful, very fast. They're unbelievable planes. I mean, they become really beautiful works of art. I always thought they sort of were cool, but now they look better than just cool, don't they, huh? But they dropped loads, and literally they would hit, if you look at this table, from here to there, they had a half a refrigerator door is the way to best explain it. Take a refrigerator door, average size, cut it in half. That was their target. They hit every single one. Then we had 30 missiles. Tomahawk came back. Panics here. We didn't have any problems. If you remember, they had a lot of problems. Horrible.
Here go my Trump 2028.
Now, I was the one that got him down. I would have kept Bagram, the big air base, which right now is controlled by China, one among the most powerful runways in the world. Thick with concrete and steel. Anything could land, and right now, they were 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. I was keeping it. Outside of that, we were leaving, and I would have been out faster than them, but we would have gotten out with strength and dignity. Instead, that was the most botched up mess I've ever seen. They left all that equipment behind, and every year they have a parade running down some third-rate street with the equipment. It's supposed to be Fifth Avenue. It doesn't work.
All right, hold on. I got to pause it real quick, y'all. Give me 1 second. Hold on. I know y'all here for a reason. I have to stop and say thank you. I know I was at roughly 3,997 subscribers. We just surpassed 4,000 subs. I want to take a moment to say thank you to everybody who's helped grow this channel. Over random times, I haven't scheduled streams. I haven't been consistent with the content. I haven't been all the things I want to be. But I want to say thank you to everybody who has chipped into the channel, who has subscribed. 4,000 subs. We've gone from April having 300 to 4,000 here. I just want to take a moment to say thank you for helping me build a community that I'm hoping to get 5,000 soon, 10,000. Let's get to 100,000. Let's get there, right? I want a little plaque on the back to put up next to my logo, right? We're going to get there. But either way, just want to take a moment to say thank you more than anything for your consistency and supporting me and saying, you know what, hey, let me at least try to improve my systems and my processes so we can build out a strong community. But I'm not asking for any donations. I'm not asking you to sign up to my Discord. I'm not asking you to sign up to my Substack yet. We're going to have that there for you later. But either way, make sure you like, double tap the screen, share the stream or anything. But let me get back to Trump. I am streaming real quick on Rumble. We're also live on Twitch and YouTube and TikTok. So if you're on any of these platforms, you just want to watch it. If you're on mobile, want to watch it on Canvas, you can switch over to Twitch. Same program, same handle, Hip Hop Lobbyist.
Every ounce of it. I was taking I said every screw, every bolt, every nail you take out of there. And Millie said, I remember one time, sir, we're better off leaving the equipment. Why? Well, it's cheaper. I said, cheaper? You mean it's cheaper to leave a $150 million airplane rather than flying it into Pakistan or India or someplace, or just flying it straight home? It's cheap. Yes, sir. That's when I knew he was an idiot.
Big Trump.
Long to figure that one out. But they left all that equipment, but they left their dignity behind. It was the most embarrassing moment, in my opinion, in the history of our country. Not that we got out, we should have not been there, but that we got out the way we got out with great embarrassment and death. You had 13 young people. I've gotten to know their families very well, but you had hundreds of people killed that nobody talks about. Yet the other side, many people were killed. Many people are walking around with no legs.
Appreciate your tag. Make sure y'all tap in support the homie non-tactical, more non-tactical.
Big base with of fencing and territory.
Great content, gaming content. He's a PC gamer. I don't know how they do it, but it's all right. Support the homie's channel, man.
Great job. And I think people are really starting to see it. They're starting to appreciate it. Pete's done fantastically. That mission was a work of art. And I have spoken to some of our perceived, I don't know if they're enemies, but they're perceived as being potential enemies. And they essentially said the same thing. Very impressive. There wasn't a thing that we didn't even.
Hey, none of you.
An engine. We didn't lose. It just they landed and they were cheered. But the same.
Oh, I'll tell it all. My bad. My bad, Christine. That's to let me know that somebody that the chat's still going. So my bad on that. I know y'all could hear it that bad. I thought it was only for me.
Target. That's what I do for a living. We hit every target. In fact, when the bombs hit, a yellow haze came over the horizon that I've never seen before. It just lit up the whole horizon, brighter than the sun. It was like looking into the sun.
What?
He goes, we hit our target, because you know what that was. It was exploded. And but they were a little downbeat because they listened to the fake CNN reporting and the fake New York Times. They worked together to try and say that it wasn't perfect. They couldn't say what they missed. All they could say is, maybe it wasn't perfect. And you ought to fire that reporter immediately. You should fire a real fake. And so I just want to congratulate those pilots. And, a lot of people don't like bringing things like that up. I was like,
I'm not going to pause the president anymore because that's just to land it. But honestly, I think that's the only thing. Like, my grandfather's 96 years old, right? I understand that people will start repeating the same stories over and over again when they hit a certain age, right? And I know Trump likes telling the story about the bombing in Iran. Bro, we heard it 2 weeks ago. We just celebrated 4th of July. That happened around Juneteenth, my brother. We done freed the slaves. I get it. Please let that shit go. Because a part of it is, we worried about Epstein files. I'm not, but the people are, right? People want to know if Diddy's gonna get pardoned. I'm not, people are. People also worried about the recovery in Texas, which we talked about, but I think at the same time, when we go to finances right after that, when we talk about the Iran piece, and we're going to get into your meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu last night, and you are now nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, collectively, respectfully. When I heard Nobel Peace Prize as a child, I'm like, okay, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, right? So I had a echelon, aura, like my shit up on the cabinet over here, you probably can't see, right? I had like, okay, damn, this is something. Even Obama, he was nominated, like, okay, first black president, okay, I guess, right? But this one, I'm sitting here like, wait a minute now. Are you being nominated because you've been too real? because you've been president, the real estate, I'm not even talking about Central Park 5. I'm like, I never thought Nobel Peace Prize and Donald Trump in the same category together. I'm sorry. It just didn't relate to me, especially when we now have ICE. ICE, baby, going through and snatching up every Haitian American, Honduras, Nicaraguan, wherever they from, and attacking it, not going after the Russians, not the immigrants from Europe, but straight Hispanic and African countries, Sierra Leone, Congolese, right? No, Ma, I'm gonna get into that. Thank you for sharing that. But the main thing is, I'm tired of Trump going back and forth with the past, bro. Please, can we let that go? Because honestly, like they tell us in content, right? I've learned this content thing. I've had shit from April and May that I can't post now because guess what? It's not relevant. But the way Trump keeps bringing shit back up, I'm like, damn, nobody even searching for this anymore. Why are you even talking about it? Mr. President, please, can we move on? That's all I'm trying to say. Let's get back to you, boy.
With all our facts. So, you know, what I was doing is just asking, it would be great if the media would be correct with their facts. That's all we ask for. So, and go ahead. So finish it up.
Oh yes, just returning back to Russia. If there's anything that you would signal about your displeasure with them.
Real quick, my girl Susie Wiles back here. Listen, tell Cersei it was me. I love some Susie Wiles. I ain't even gonna hold you. She's a Republican, kingmaker since Reagan. I'm gonna say it every time I see her. But listen, man, that's a powerful woman right there. Oh.
Well, look, I'm very unhappy with them. There's no reason for this. It's turned out to be tougher, but it's only tougher. And I will say the Ukrainians were brave, but we gave them the best equipment ever made. We gave them the anti-tank busters that knocked out tanks. I mean, you just aim them in the direction of the tank and the tank is gone. We gave them missiles.
Golden Gold, thank you for tapping in.
The greatest. They were able to shoot down a lot of things that would have normally wiped out. You know, probably would have been a very quick war. It would have been a war that lasted 3-4 days. But they had the benefit of unbelievable equipment. And Europe gave them too. We gave them far more because Biden shouldn't have done that. He should have equalized. We should have given him the same, or we should have given actually less than Europe. It affects Europe much more than us. But we're in there for over $300 billion. Europe's in there for over $100 billion. But still, Europe gave a lot. And I will say this, the Ukrainians, whether you think it's unfair that we gave all that money or not, they were very brave because somebody had to operate that stuff. And a lot of people I know wouldn't be operating it. They wouldn't have the courage to do it. So they fought very bravely. But we gave them the best equipment in the world. We make the best military equipment by far. There's nobody close. You look at other equipment from other countries, it's not even close. That's why everybody wants to buy our equipment. And that's why we're going to step up these contractors now that make it, and they're brilliant, but they make it too slowly. And we have to step them up, Pete. Patriots, if you look at our Tomahawk.
I'm just the military funding I get. I'm not discounting that, but I don't want us to go to war. I don't want us to test the fact of do we have the strongest military. That's my personal opinion. Just real quick, Red One Baron, is he denying FEMA to Texas like other disasters? I haven't heard that yet. Right? And honestly, I haven't heard that. I haven't really paid attention. I've been spending so much time with my family lately. Like through June, I had my anniversary on the 30th, 4th of July weekend. There's a lot of things to discuss. Even the Essence Fest leaving New Orleans. And I know a lot of my fans are probably, a lot of community of rock fans looking for maybe home ownership, mortgage, financial stuff, like stuff that's more established people would look into. But I'm also, culturally relevant and realize that Essence Fest may be leaving New Orleans for other issues, which is a whole nother conversation that we'll get into later. But I'm not worried about our military being the best versus the rest of the world. I am, but I'm not, because I don't want us to test it. I don't want us to test to see, okay, is China really it? Is Russia really it? Because it takes the fact of casualties in lives. Right? But let's get back into this. We got some press questions coming in.
Decreased in price from December.
I know, it's not
March. Well, my question is,
with the tariffs.
It's about tariff questions here.
Tariffs are going to cause price increases.
Are we
the prices just not
Chairman
passed
of the
through
Fed?
Yes, exactly.
You do a better job than him.
Mario, I kind of agree with that.
Just not passed through yet?
No, I think what's happening is everything's evening out. You know, when we charge, see what people don't understand, the other countries have been charged, almost every country charges us tariffs. We had deficits with everybody for years, for decades. And we were like this big monolith that made bad deals with everybody. We rebuilt South Korea, and we stayed there.
I'm take a moment to say thank you, Lisa, for tapping in today.
And they pay us very little for the military. I got them to pay billions of dollars, and Biden then canceled it when he came in. You know, I said to South Korea, as an example, you know, we give you free military, essentially, very little. And I think you should pay us $10 billion a year. And they went crazy. But they agreed to 3. So I got 3 with a phone call. And I was satisfied. I said, but next year we have to talk. And then we had a rigged election, and we never got to talk. And you know what Biden did? They probably went to him and they said, listen, Trump treated us terribly, and we shouldn't be paying anything. And he cut it down to nothing. So that's what happens. It's ridiculous. That's the other thing. We're talking to countries about contributing to the military. Not only just paying more in NATO, but contributing. You know, we have 45,000 soldiers in South Korea. We have 45,000 soldiers in Germany, 52,000 actually. And, you know, that's a huge economic development for them. That's tremendous amount, just like having a city. It's tremendous money for them, and it's a tremendous loss for us. So we're talking, in a very nice way, we're talking to them about it. It's very unfair. We supply the military, so many, very, very good. They're very good, but, you know, they should be paying for their own military.
President Trump, can I ask you a question about Jerome Powell as well, and then the core interest rates? He's facing accusations of lying to Congress, which is a potential crime about the
Well, then he should resign immediately. We should get somebody in there that's going to lower interest rates.
Do you want congressional
Why don't you call for his resignation?
God, no.
Do you want congressional Republicans to investigate and
It's
pursue
okay
and
with
punish?
me. I think he's terrible. I think, look, we're paying, I call him Too Late. T-O-O, Too Late, like Too Tall Jones for the Dallas Cowboys, right? Too late. He's always late. But he wasn't late with Biden before the election. He was cutting him like crazy. It didn't help too much, did it? But he was cutting him like crazy before the election with Kamala and Biden. He was trying to get them in, I guess. I don't know. He was recommended by somebody that worked for me. I like you better.
If I could ask the Attorney General a question too, President.
Sure.
Your memo and release yesterday with Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the things
Oh, Jeffrey Epstein piece. Let's go, man.
ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did.
Mario, that's true.
So could you resolve whether or not he did, and also could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape?
And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time when you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like that.
I'll stop that for a second. Didn't Elon just come out when the last rap beef happened? I mean, Kendrick Drake style. I don't know whose side you want. I guess Trump will be Kendrick because Elon's from South Africa. He will be Drake. But Elon Drake Musk said that Trump was on the list. Family matters, right? So if Trump is on the list, where would Elon get this narrative from? That's defamation, isn't it? Wouldn't it be? He's a president? I guess that's how it all happened. Oh, shut up and let me talk. Hey, go to another channel. I love it here. And either way, I think that some people in the midst of the Diddy trial are sitting here like, wait a minute. Why did Elon come out and say this? Wait a minute, how you get rid of the list? And this is gonna fuel the whole American party that they got going. You feel me? Because I feel, regardless of what was on the list, release the list. Because the perverts are out there. And people don't want to live with perverts. They want to expose the perverts. So that to me is it. But it's kind of a nasty cover up that I'm quite sure if my man Michael Moore does a documentary on it, we're going to get a great documentary with some good conspiracy theories in it. Let's go, man.
You go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night.
So, I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm just going to be real for a second. So that don't mean that somebody could have went in there understanding the system. If the whole feds knew this, that there's a minute lapse and they can't go in there. A minute is a long time. I'm just saying, like, have somebody call you right now. And then look at the phone when you get done. It's probably a 3-minute, 2-minute conversation. Like, wait, we talked about a lot in a minute. A lot of shit can happen in a minute. I'm no conspiracy theorist, but it sounds a little fishy. That's all I'm saying.
And that's it on Epstein.
Mr. President, just on the tariffs again, August 1st, you said is the deadline. What incentives do countries have to negotiate? It seems that deadline keeps moving. It was April 2nd, now it's...
We didn't move, no. It's always been August 1st, that's what we're paying. A statement was being put out.
Jamie, I don't think you can trust Congress to look at it, honestly.
It wasn't a change, it was August 1st.
This is a tariff thing he's talking about, the August 1st, I guess, pushback. Hold on. Made this bigger than it needed to be. Oh, wait. Hold on. Technical difficulties back here. Somebody said have Congress look into it. I don't think you can trust Congress to look into it, right? Because, like, if you go back to the Hillary piece, remember, like, the Republicans came after Hillary, and when she was Secretary of State, then they looked into Trump about the Russia stuff. Then it goes back and forth, like, all collectively. If Congress looks into it, it's going to be politicized. And they're not going to get down to the main factor of, like, okay, how do we protect children? How do we protect women? How do we expose and put these criminals in jail for the shit that they do? That's all I'm saying. Like, suicide for Weinstein or Epstein, whatever, right? Both of them. It was the easy way out. You know what I'm saying? Like, they should have made sure that Brody had to stay alive until all this exposed to this point. Like, you know what? Hey, but this does sound like a cover up. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it just doesn't make sense. Like, how would you collectively think about this? You have a whole federal jail system that knows that there's a minute lapse between days of tapes. A lot can happen in a minute. And that's the part where, is that efficient? Because if it was, imagine, who was a dude that got stabbed up the other day? Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez got stabbed up the other day in prison, right? What if they didn't have any videos, right? Like, that's the part of realizing, respectfully here, let's not act as if all the law enforcement inside these correctional facilities are on the side of law enforcement, right? Because if they were, you wouldn't have those dudes out in New Orleans getting released. You wouldn't have guards having babies with prisoners, right? Even helping them escape. All type of stuff that's happened, right? Contraband bringing drugs into the jail. All types of nasty shit. But it gets to a point of saying, cool, respectfully. I actually lost my train of thought. Can we trust Congress to do this? No, we can't. We can't, to me. That's just it. Because the perverts are out here working together. The congressional perverts and the billionaire perverts too.
We don't change very much. You know, every time we put out a statement, they say he made a change. I didn't make a change. Clarification, maybe. No, August 1st.
Hey, Nancy.
And everybody-
Thanks for tapping in on Twitch.
And the incentive is that they have the right to deal in the United States. If they don't want to, they don't have to pay, and they don't have to deal here. But if they want to buy and make a lot of money and sell in the United States, they have to do that. You know, if you go back and look at some of the good presidents, our country was the wealthiest, proportionately the wealthiest, from 1870 to 1913. It was an all-tariff country. We didn't have income tax. That came in in 1913. We had tariffs.
Let's go through history here, because this is a good portion of what the president's saying here is through that middle end of slavery, through Reconstruction, we were a tariff country. So we need to go, like, come on. Like, let's think about the history of America then. We were a tariff country because what? We're based on slave labor. We fought on slave labor. So we had to, come on, man. It's a whole Reconstruction era to where like America realized, listen, we can't survive on the tariffs anymore. We can't survive on the slave labor because they're free.
And we had so much money, we didn't know what to do with it. We had, we had a couple of presidents that were very, very strong. McKinley, I guess more than anybody, but he was the tariff.
Hey, Eon.
He was very, very strong. It's sort of sad. He made a fortune for this country, became very rich, and then Teddy Roosevelt went out and vice president, and he spent the money. And they said Roosevelt was a great president. And let's say he was a great president, but the money was paid by McKinley with tariffs. Tariffs by other countries at levels that are charge you no tariffs, nothing. We'll give you everything. We'll give you access to our markets. We'll give you everything. Is that a correct statement, Scott?
Yes, sir.
Howard, would you say that's a correct statement?
Exactly correct.
It's like they just don't, because they're very spoiled, because for years they ripped us off and we didn't have a president that understood it, or Secretary of Treasury or Secretary of a lot of different secretaries are involved.
Got a good question here in the chat.
Was, not doing their job. I don't know about Kelly. She's small business. We'll keep it that way, okay? Her small.
I'm gonna pause Trump because Lisa is one of my super fans, my top fans. So I'm gonna pause the stream to make sure we take care of our top fans here on the Hip Hop Lobby stream. Question: if it's the same crap, different office, paraphrasing, I believe Lisa's saying between presidents, why does everyone flip out when someone wants to change it either side? True question, no bullshit. Really want to know. I think, honestly, Lisa, thank you again for your support and being one of the top super fans, supporters of this channel. I think it's more like scare tactics, one, because you have to paint the other party as the evil party. Whether you're going after women's rights to choose, or you're going after men and women's sports. Or it's like the different fear tactics that they put in. To me, collectively, from actually running campaigns, it is the same crap because the minutia of what's happening, people don't care about. That's why it's always education, jobs, healthcare. Healthcare because seniors, our elders, our veterans. That's really where it's at, right? Veterans sidebar, veterans, the armed service members, they typically get raises under Republican leadership, right? There'll be more defunding under Democratic leadership for what it is. So there'll be more there, but healthcare, that's there. Education, because we need to educate our kids, whether it's public school, charter schools, private school, right? Education's key, higher ed, essentially, right? Parent Plus loans, they put a cap on Parent Plus loans in this big, beautiful bill. Some people who may need a Parent Plus loan in order to have their kid go through, that's great. So education is also a part of it, right? But it's a point of how we fix these things. Now, Democrats have gone more social with a lot of the issues over the past 20 years, which I kind of get. And Republicans have been more, hey, we don't care about the rest of this shit. Let's hold the Constitution, Christian conservative values, to be frank and to be real. And I think that either side is really pushing the fact of one side fear of, hey, they're going against the ideals of what this country was founded on. Then the other ideals of, hey, we need to progress as a country because we can't have these old mentalities keeping holding us back because we're going back to slavery. We're going back to everything that's in the past, Jim Crow, civil rights, right? And that's the narrative of what we end up having. So because of that, it ends up being bullshit of people's emotions. And that's why I quietly created the channel and have your support and others, right? Because when you realize that, damn, I work in this, I see it, half the people who are going on, rah, 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 this is racist, rah, 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 Christian conservative values, they'll get along when it's time to pass legislation. They realize it's only talking points for the people to get out there so they can spin the narrative for the local news and the local media. Because it's not just a propaganda big media company, it's a small media, it's the black newspapers, it's the local newspapers, it's everything there. They're all propaganda in it, right? But in order to really get to a point of answering your question, this is what gets the blood boiling for people. Honestly, I don't agree with the fear politics. I like the politics where you feel encouraged and empowered to be like, you know what? I support this person because I think they'll be the best person for my community, the best overall, right? We've gotten away from that. We've gotten away from that and gotten to a point of saying, you know what? Whatever Republicans say is right, whatever Democrats say is wrong, and vice versa. And we never get to a point of actually saying, you know what? Hey, what benefits people? Like in Florida, we passed a new law. The governor signed into law about children with autism. Right. And I said this the other day on the stream when Bernie Sanders was speaking about, you know, they're making cuts to Medicaid, poor kids, everything else. Like, well, wait. For mothers with children with autism in the state of Florida, they're providing more grants and more resources to make sure that your child has everything that they need. And I'm not saying this one thing should take away from Medicare cuts and Medicaid cuts. What I'm saying is, Medicare and Medicaid cuts. What I'm saying is we have to be involved and knowledgeable about everything. Like I was saying earlier in the big, beautiful tax bill when it went to the House, they said, you know what, the tax credit should go from $2,000 to $2,500. And we said, okay, if you have 4 kids, that means that you're not going from $8,000 write-off, you're going to $10,000, right? Perfect. But now the Republicans in the Senate said, you know what, that's too much. We only need it at $2,200, and $2,200 is exactly where it's at for the child tax credit. So now you're looking from $8,000, potentially $10,000 to $8,800. I don't support that, right? I don't support that because I know how much I'm paying in childcare every week, on top of everything else. So a part of breaking down the big, beautiful bill, breaking down the logic of what's out there is there's greater motion in fear tactics, but there's not enough motion actually educating people about what's out there for them. So to me, collectively, when I hear about black people talking about gentrification, I'm like, cool. In this bill, they're talking about opportunity zones. I'm not saying it from an aspect of, one, get all the investors together, all the hip hop money, all the entertainers, and let's go buy back the block. What I'm saying is, how do you protect your block? How do you protect grandma's home? If you understand these resources are going to be coming down to your state, your local community for rural and urban development, how do you eventually say to yourself, all right, cool, yes, how do we prepare our communities for this investment? Because even when they go to Overtown, like in Miami or different parts of Atlanta or different parts of Houston where they develop these different things, it ends up saying, you know what, maybe they're developing these luxury skyrises, 2,000 homes. Out of those homes, only 50 of them are actually affordable homes, where it's like, okay, cool. Everybody else is paying $3,000, $4,000 a month. You're gonna be only paying $500 a month. Cool, you can afford to stay here. However, for the other 1,900 people, 1,950, right? What if they can't afford to live there? For the other 10,000 people in that community, if they can't afford to live in those luxury high-rise sky apartments that are coming through opportunity zones, how do we make sure that it's not only luxury apartments coming in our communities? That to me is the greatest benefit. But to Lisa's question, super fan, number 2, she's number 1 to me. Honestly, I think it's more people just don't want the other side to win. They just want to take control of the narrative. And I think that having people dismayed and upset, having their blood pressure up about this nonsense is greater than actually educating people. And that's why I get frustrated and make my YouTube channel. So if anything, if you like the content, if you like my little soliloquy there, if your first time here, I am a hip hop lobbyist, please make sure you like and subscribe. But I'm getting back to President Trump because this cabinet meeting is going a little longer than I expected. And I have a 3 o'clock call, and we may do it like my 11:30 call when I started the stream and just have y'all watch it. I'll take my call and come back. But let's see where we at.
All business is bigger than almost all big businesses when you add it all up. But no, they are very respectful of our country. But the incentive is that they have the right to do business with us. Without that, they don't have the right to do business, and that will be okay too.
And when the deals,
Yeah, go ahead.
here in the next 24 hours, will we hear a flurry of deals?
Yeah, we have a lot of them going out, but the deals are mostly my deal to them. We're picking a number that's low. We don't want to hurt them, and fair. We're picking a number that's lower than, in most cases, lower than what they charged us. But it's amazing when you've paid all this money for years and they get one president that's a little bit different and a little tougher on this subject, and they're willing to drop everything.
Thank you, Lisa.
Charging us for years and years. I mean, we have countries going, we will have you don't have to pay any tariff to come in.
Hey, Price Casey.
Giving us total access to their countries, they gave us no access to the country. They said, well, you cannot go into our country. Okay, good. Now we will give you total access and you don't have to pay any tariffs. But please don't charge us tariffs. And we don't like that deal. So the letters I send out we have made some deals. We can make a lot more deals. It's just too time consuming. It just makes it more complicated. And we can do things over the years too. You know, we're not hard line. But it's about time the United States of America started collecting money from countries that were ripping us off and laughing behind our back at how stupid we were.
Right. DIY Hydro, exactly, brother.
Yellow, in the yellow.
On the tariff issue, so you've talked about India coming, but then a couple days ago you issued a new tariff threat to members of the BRICS countries for if they aligned with anti-American policies.
10% charge.
That would be India, Brazil.
That's right, they have to pay 10% if they're in BRICS. Because BRICS was set up to hurt us. BRICS was set up to degenerate our dollar and take our dollar as the standard, take it off as the standard. And that's okay if they want to play that game, but I can play that game too. So anybody that's in BRICS is getting a 10% charge.
And if you haven't paid attention to that, I know it's been a lot of things happening with the Texas flooding. 12 other countries, along with basically all the BRICS countries. If you haven't paid attention, the BRICS countries have basically came together, not like a Brexit, but a Brexit, and they're trying to compete. And this is something that I think Trump is going to take full force on and say this is a new wave of tariffs. But I do know yesterday the Dow dropped 500 points. I haven't checked it today. All right, respectfully. But this is, I guess, another fight because we have Texas. We have the Texas flooding, the tragedy that happened there. We have Israel, Iran, that's on pause. We have Congo and Rwanda, I believe that's on pause. We have Gaza, which is halfway on pause. Netanyahu had dinner last night, so we don't really know. And now we have also BRICS versus the U.S. So that'll be interesting. On top of, I believe there are a lot of Mexicans or Hispanic people in Central America who are like, hey, we're tired of the gentrification of Americans who've been coming here since 2019 because it was cheaper to live there. Now to a point of saying, hey, gringo, go back to your country.
Is that immediate, sir, or is
Yeah,
that
pretty
if
soon.
they engage in some behavior?
Well, if they're a member of BRICS, they're going to have to pay 10% tariff. Just for that one thing, and they won't be a member long. I thought BRICS was, I said this about a year ago, and it largely broke up. But, there are a couple that hang around, but I thought it largely broke up. BRICS is not, in my opinion, not a serious threat. But what they're trying to do is destroy the dollar so that another country can take over and be the standard. And we're not going to lose the standard at any time. If you have a smart president, you will never lose the standard. If you have a stupid president, like the last one, you would lose the standard. You wouldn't have the dollar as you. And if we lost the world standard dollar, that would be like losing a war, a major world war. We would not be the same country any longer. We're not going to let that happen. The dollar, you ever hear the expression, dollar is king? The dollar is king. We're going to keep it that way, okay? And I'm just saying, if people want to challenge it, they can, but they're going to have to pay a big price. And I don't think any of them are willing to pay that price.
Thank you, Mr. President. Are you optimistic about reaching the tariff deal with the European Union soon?
Well, the European Union has been speaking to us, Ursula and the whole group, and they've been very nice. They treated us very badly until recently. Now they're treating us very nicely. It's like a different world, actually. They treated us very badly.
Lisa, is the problem with the sound?
Actually, in many respects, they were much worse than China. Look at what they do to our companies. They sue Apple. They sue Google. $17 billion they got from Apple on a lawsuit that they didn't have a case. They have, judges that are European Union judges. And they ruled, they take
let's chill on anti-Semitism if there's any. I didn't see any. Damn, I gotta sign this damn form for Frank.
They're very tough, but now they're being very nice to us, and we'll see what happens. We're probably 2 days off from sending them a letter, we are talking to them. I just want you to know, a letter means a deal. You know, a lot of people said, we got 200 countries. We can't meet with 200 countries. We have a few trusted people that know what they're doing, that are doing a good job, but you can't do it. You have to do it in a more general way, well-crafted. And mostly it's just a little number in there. You'll pay 25%, 35%. We have some at 60, 70. Those are ones with massive, you know, where we have massive trade deficits because they've treated us very badly. But I would say in every case, I'm treating them better than they treated us over the years. Don't you agree with that? I could have done much. I could have been much harsher. I don't want to do that. We want to have relationships, but in every case, you come up with the number. It's so incredible that prices are actually going down. Just so you know, when I got in, everyone said, "Oh, eggs are going through the roof." That was the first. I was in for about 4 days, and they started screaming at me about eggs. I said, "That's Biden's problem." I didn't know about eggs, but eggs went up about 5 times. You did a fantastic job, and we ended up shortly getting. In fact, for Easter, they said go out and buy plastic eggs. You can't use real eggs. Well, we bought 200,000 eggs for the White House for the Easter egg hunt that we have at the White House, and there were eggs. We had the price down, and now the price is lower than it was before. We did a good job with eggs, but we did a good job with groceries. Our prices are down in this country. Well, a big part of it's oil. The oil, you had a couple of places last week, you had $1.99 for oil, for gasoline. Nobody thought they'd see that. I want to get it lower if I can.
Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. I'm sending a text. Wait a minute now. This happens all the time. I'm not a Trumper. I'm a Democrat, but I'm not with the bullshit. And one thing I'm not with the bullshit of is the gas price. Now, I was in Georgia the other day. Gas was like $2.80. My gas in the city is like $3.17 now. So when I hear this $1.70 gas, I just try to understand what is the price of gas in your city? Because in my city, it's almost $3 a gallon. I'm trying to figure out where is this $1.70, $1.80, less than $2 gallon of gas. Where's it at? So let me know in the chat. That we always do this. I had to stop it right here for a second. The question is, how much is gas in the price of your city? Right? Is gas lower since Trump has been in office? Right? Yes or no? That's a simple question, because I know y'all can't put your prices in the poll, right? But I'm going to read through real quick. I'm going to unpause my man here. I'm going to just mute him. And I'm going to read through some of these prices that I hear, right? Can't hear Trump, but I can hear two numbers away. Can you fix the sound, please? My bad on that. I don't know what's going on with the sound. It got to be on my side. 425 Cali. Gas went up in PA 35 cents, $3.39 in Nebraska, $1.99 to $2.27 in Dallas, $3.78 in Royce City, Texas, $2.79 the cheapest around here, $2.69 in South Carolina, $3.45. You got $3.45, $1.96. I see some $1.96 Hillbilly Joe. Okay, where are you at, Hillbilly Joe? Let me know where you're at. $2.03 in Louisiana, $3.25 Pennsylvania, $3.96 Maryland, $4.79 Seattle, $2.03 a gallon dildo schwaggins. Okay, I don't know where dildo is, but let me know your city. I'm not coming, but just let me know where that gas is in that price. $3.25 Michigan, $1.99 Texas, $2.69, $2.89 in Alabama. I'm going back through. What we got? I did the $3.20. I appreciate your stream. Hey, Chris, I appreciate you. $3.39 PA. Woke Schmeed. Say hi. Hey, how you doing? Ackworth, Georgia, $2.79. Okay, my man. It's still a little laggy, Lisa, my bad. I'm gonna have to restart this eventually. I think it's on my side. I could be doing too much. So it could be on me. Let me check my settings. Honestly, I've had issue with not Xfinity. I don't mind them. AT&T, their fiber has been fucking up. There's supposed to be a tech coming out today, so hopefully they'll be able to fix it. $2.79 Bluefield, Virginia, $2.75 in Florida. I don't know where you are, Woke Schmeed. It's $3.17 where I'm at. $2.60 in Colorado. About a 5 cent, 10 cent drop. No is basically leaning 58% on the poll right now. Almost $4 in Houston, $3.50 in Arizona. Okay, lower by about 20 cents here. $5 in wherever Alexander is. $3.13 in Vermont. Hey, $3.40 in Orlando. I'm right up the street in Jacksonville, Duval County. What's up? Appreciate y'all tapping in, especially all my Florida people, my South Carolina people. Panama City in the building. Woke Schmeed, $2.75. Oh yeah, that's where he's at. Listen, Rogers, South Carolina, or Rogers, Arkansas, excuse me. Okay, I see you. 239 Oklahoma. I got to get back to Trump here because Trump's talking. I muted him for a minute. Arizona Mesa, Costco, $2.99. These are good prices. It's not what I'm hearing from Big Trump, but I hear that. I appreciate y'all sharing y'all gas prices with the chat. I'm gonna end this poll real quick. And the second poll of the stream. Gas prices lower. 54% say no. 111 of y'all voted. More than Kamala Harris. Let's get back to Big President. The Big Trump, excuse me. 288 Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Plants now. About 7 have started. We're going to have hundreds started within a short period of time. Lee Zeldin, who may be the most important man in this room, I'm sorry, but he's the one that gets the permits, whereas he's the one that has to get the permits for the plants and the factories, and permits that used to take 5 years, he's getting in record-setting times. AI,
Thank you, everybody tapping in. Hey, Nancy, thank you for following on Twitch as well.
This, I'm allowing the plants to build their own.
Yeah, Nancy, I'll reply to the chat.
Allowing them to become an electric utility, so they can produce their own electricity, because we need double the to be successful with AI, which is the biggest thing now. We need double the electricity that we have, which is hard to believe. We need even more than that. And they're building plants with their own electricity substations. They don't have to use the grid. And anything they build extra, they're putting into the grid. So we're supplying the grid with brand new electric sources. And it's funny, when they came to see me, they never even asked for that. I told them about it. The reason they didn't, they thought that was an impossibility. You're not allowed to build your own electric. These are massive investments that are being made in building electricity for their plants. And they're going to have, I think, Doug, a lot of electricity left over. And that electricity is going to be passed into the grid and give us no more, like you look at California. They have blackouts and brownouts every week. They're totally out of control. They have a really incompetent governor. Where's Chris? Is he here? You want to speak to the subject?
Newscomb.
Yeah, I think a huge thing in the One Big Beautiful Bill, Mr. President, because of your leadership, is the ending of these subsidies, as you call them, the Green New Scam. That saves our country $500 billion over the next 10 years. But American taxpayers were paying twice. They're paying that money, $500 billion in the subsidies, and they were paying more expensive electricity price. If you subsidize something, you should at least lower the cost of it. But in this case, we were subsidizing something and paying more for it. So the One Big Beautiful Bill had two huge things: ending wasteful spending. Wind, solar, and batteries combined are 3% of U.S. total primary energy. 3% for $1 trillion, another $500 billion coming. It's just not a good investment, hurting our businesses, hurting our consumers. And the One Big Beautiful Bill also unshackled oil, gas, and coal development in the United States, onshore and offshore. Secretary Bergen has been working tirelessly on how, by getting the government out of the way, private businesses will develop more resources in the United States, lowering costs for American consumers and making much better leverage for the United States to help our allies abroad and reduce the power of our adversaries abroad. So just a huge win in the energy front all around, and I thank you for your leadership.
We're setting records now on energy, and there'll be nothing compared to what they'll be in about a year from now, but we're setting records. And wind is a very expensive form of energy. It's very bad for your beautiful surroundings, the plains and the valleys, and the birds are dying all over the place. The whole thing is a disaster. They're almost exclusively made in China. Not that I have anything against China, because I don't have a great relationship with President Xi, but I asked him, how many wind farms do you have? He makes them, but they don't have a lot of wind farms, I'll tell you, very, very few. And wind is tremendously expensive and is very ugly. And if you own a house that's inside of a windmill, your house is worth less than half. And you hear noises. And interestingly, in New England, you probably read, where for 50 years they had 2 wells washed up, 50 years. And last summer, they had 14 washed up. Now, I'm not saying that's the wind farm that was built, but maybe it is, right? Probably is. It's tremendously expensive, and it can only be done with subsidy. I know a man that's in that business, and one of the biggest in the world actually runs a company that builds these stupid windmills. And he said, I hate the business because it's the only energy where you need subsidy. He said, energy shouldn't need subsidy. You should make money with energy. So wind. The other one is the solar, those big solar fields. They're taking our farmland. Our farmers are like mortified by it. They hate it. It's very, very inefficient and very ugly too. You know, probably better than a windmill, but you go around and you see all these. Right now is building 58 coal-fired plants, 58 big ones. They have 62 on the books to build. We've reintroduced clean, beautiful coal, because you know you can do a lot with coal now. Clean, beautiful coal, and natural gas, and all of the other things that we have. But we don't want wind, and we don't want solar, because they're a blight on our country. They hurt our country very badly, and smart countries don't use it. Solar sounds good, I will say, and I like on occasion you'll see a roof which is made of solar brick, but it's a smaller use. We need the kind of thing that's going to fire up our plants, and it's not going to be wind, you know, that is very intermittent, as you probably